from the first replay that we saw, the fact that VAR hasn't looked at it. I'm sure the PGMOL will explain why they didn't, but it looked from us four, maybe we're a little bit biased, I don't know, but it looked to us like that was a penalty.
Well, first and foremost, it was a handball. There's no question in that, and I'm sure Lee Mason seen the handball incident himself. You know, there's no way anybody who's either on the pitch or officiating on the pitch would have missed that. That's, you know, clear. That's number one fact out of the way. What happens after that? And we've been through this time and time again where we see decisions on a replay that are clear and decisive, but for whatever reason they are not given, then only the PGMOL and the referee know that.
Fact, it needs a law change without a doubt, because if Jamie Vardy accidentally handles the ball in the penalty area,
absolutely,
the referee gives a free kick.
Yeah.
If a defender accidentally handles the ball in the penalty area, they don't give a penalty.
They don't give it.
Now,
Absolutely.
surely we're all looking and thinking we want to see more goals, not less goals, regardless of whether it's for Leicester or against Leicester. You know, the whole reviews of the VAR and what they give and what they don't give at the end of, well, when we get to the end of this season, I know it's been a long season, but, you know, they've got to be reviewed, because things like that, those decisions are so vital. And that, you know, that's a penalty. That's Jamie Vardy's 100th goal. Leicester win 1-0 and everyone's happy. So, you know, it should have been a penalty without a doubt, in my opinion.
Another thing as well, Tony, that you can look at is that if, for example, the referee Lee Mason had given that penalty from live viewing, if VAR was to look at it, there's no way they would overturn it. So it wasn't as if it would have been a howler had he given it. That's just football, though, I guess, at the moment, Tony. But it certainly leaves a...
It is, Dan, yeah. And the other thing as well, I'm sure the boys would have picked up on this, look at the reaction of the players. Just look at the reaction of the Leicester players. To a man, I think the whole team went up and were appealing for handball. There's four of us watching the game live. We've all said handball. You know, how is it that 5 million people are wrong and the referee's right? I don't get it.
He seemed to put his on.
We're meant to be helping the referees. We had that ridiculous decision at the weekend, Aston Villa. Was it Sheffield United they played when the ball was over the line, and because the goal line technology didn't work, they couldn't overrule it. I mean, there's a slight clue in the phrase. It's called video assistant referee. So you're assisting the referee. Mm-hmm. We're trying to help them. We're trying to make it better and get, above all else, get the right decision, Dan. And that was certainly not the right decision.
I mean, they looked for so long, Jerry, didn't they, at the Brighton penalty that was given. VAR were looking at that, and that seemed less of a penalty, maybe, I don't know, than the handball that wasn't given at the other end.
Well, that's, you know, it's debatable, you know, because it was a coming together.
Yeah.
It's a completely different situation, whereas, you know, obviously a handball is a handball is a handball, and it's clear for everybody to see. I'm sure, as I said, Lee Mason, but I'll go back to one of the points Tony's just made is, you know, helping the referee. And I think that's where the waters get muddied here, because I don't think there's enough cohesion between either the referees and VAR, or whatever cohesion there is. It's being pointed in the wrong direction. As you said, it's a video assistant referee. It's there to help the referee, but for some reason, the referee can pick and choose when he needs the help or when he doesn't want the help. Whereas you go back to the Sheffield United goal at Aston Villa, that's where the VAR needed to take over the situation and give the referee an understanding that, hold on a minute, yes, the goal line technology didn't work, but it's a goal. You need to blow your whistle for a goal. That didn't happen. And exactly the same here tonight. Lee Mason
and as well, they've got, I think they've still got the pitch side monitors, haven't they? I mean, you know,
exactly.
Why don't they just say that, not only the Villa Sheffield United one, but tonight just say, look,
have a look.
Lee, we think there was a handball.
Yeah,
Lee.
you need
Go
to take a look. Absolutely.
See what you think, you know, because you can be wrong. Referees can be wrong, you know, but it's not to criticise them. You just want them to get the right decision. And then if he looks at it then and, you know, if he looks, surely if he has another look at it, he'll think, wow, that's a penalty, you know. Yeah. And I think it almost looked like clever defending from me. And you boys would have done it, where you know, in the old days when there wasn't cameras, you could very cleverly handle a ball or put your make a foul and get away with it. But nowadays you can't do that, or at least you can, because they obviously didn't give it.
And this is where the problems lie with the VAR and the Referees Association is they're not coherent with each other. And when they are, it's when it suits them.
But you talk about clear and obvious. You know, for me, that was immediately, you just saw it it's his hand, you know. And I know he tried to put his arm in an unusual place to either field the forward or try and, you know, and it's hit his arm. It's just clear and blatant. And Lee Mason's got to look at that and think, I've made a mistake there, and come out and tell us all, look, I could have made a mistake there, lads. But why that wasn't looked at is beyond belief.
But this is what VAR is meant to do: take those mistakes away from the referee. So yes, referees are human, and yes, they make mistakes unintentionally. That's why VAR is there, to help them make the right decision. But for whatever reason, only when it suits a referee will they use a VAR. And one of the biggest issues is with it that they don't use the TV monitors enough.
Well, let's move away from the negativity of the penalty that wasn't given for Leicester at the end of the game there. We'll look at the penalty that was given for Brighton earlier on in the game, Walshy, and it led to a really, really, really good Kasper Schmeichel penalty save.
It did. It was when I first saw the penalty, my reaction was not a penalty, but when you see it slowed down, it was clumsy, and you know, James, he'll learn from this, and Kasper's really, you know, again, the hero really tonight, in a sense of, and he's got another clean sheet for himself. He's only, what is he, 11 now, 12 or whatever he's on. So fair play, but you know, James, you just got to be careful when it's in the box there. And as clumsy as it was, it could have been costly. Yet we've got out of jail. We've worked our way back into the game, and we've ended up the game stronger, like we do in a lot of games. We finished the second half stronger and fitter, mainly. And you know, only for Lee Mason, like I said, I was a bit disappointed with his performance tonight. I just felt he was, some of the decisions earlier in the game, that he was just felt like he was against us in a sense, if you know what I mean. And that proved it in the end. But still, you know, we've got to look at the positives. And in the end, you know, we've not got that bit of quality and class just to unlock a dogged Brighton defence who stayed resolute in the end and fighting for their lives, and they'll be happier than Leicester with that point.
I know you're moving away from the penalty decision, but I wonder if the referee would
You're
have
not,
blown
Jerry,
his
are you?
whistle if there had been a crowd in the stadium and they would have been screaming for the penalty.
That's a very
I wonder
good point.
what would have happened then.
No, it is a very good point that you make, Jerry. That would have been right where the Leicester fans were in the Kop. So
that would have gone to VAR with 32,000 fans in that stand. I think you could be right, Jerry.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't. Jerry, what do you think Brendan Rodgers will be thinking right now after that game? Will it be thinking similar things to us? A little bit of frustration, a little bit of disappointment, but obviously Leicester could well have lost that game this evening as well.
Yeah, it always sort of lessens the disappointment when you finish the game better than you started it. Obviously, he'll be really, really unhappy and frustrated with the first half. Second half performance, as we said, was better, but it's still not to where we were before lockdown. There's no hiding away from that. Brendan will know that. But you know, we haven't lost the game yet. Okay, we haven't scored as many goals. That'll be a bit of a concern. The quality, Tony was harping on about it throughout the second half. The quality just isn't quite there. Maddison isn't firing on all cylinders. Gray, who came on and played fantastically well on Saturday, couldn't replicate that form tonight. Harvey Barnes, you know, hasn't hit the ground running again since lockdown. So areas of concern, but, you know, I'm sure Leicester at the minute aren't the only team who are struggling to, you know, be firing on all cylinders. So it's let's hope, shall we say, that, you know, come the next game, you know, we've just improved slightly.
It's really difficult to gauge, though, isn't it? After,
yeah.
And when you know, we're not in this situation. We're not players anymore. But I you know, a very difficult situation this is for everybody. But they came out. It was encouraging because they came out with a bit of purpose and intention in that second half. Better quality overall. And could have nicked that game. I really felt like something was going to happen because Brighton were really on the last legs. But they just, you know, obviously Leicester, they had a bit of fatigue as well in the end and just couldn't raise that final bit of quality just to finish Brighton off.
Let's have a look at the stats then at full time here at King Power Stadium. Finished here, Leicester 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Jerry, again, looking at those stats there, Leicester, as we expected they would have done, dominated the possession stats.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was there for everybody to see in the second half. Not quite in the first half, even though they are pretty similar. What has significantly changed, you know, was the shot tally. Whereas I think Brighton had more shots in the first half than Leicester. Leicester obviously having 11 shots in total, Brighton 9. Bit of positivity there. Shots on target, Leicester's 2 to Brighton's 1.
It shows you how good the game was. There was 3 shots on target in total.
Yeah,
2 from Leicester and 1 from Brighton.
It wasn't a great game.
No.
Okay, so we can pretty confidently say that it wasn't a great game. And you have to give Brighton credit for that as well. You know, I thought Brighton were very well organised defensively. They got bodies back when they needed to. Leicester, in my opinion, might have played some earlier balls, might have just played blind balls, not trying to pick men out, just trying to pick good areas of the 18-yard box to play balls into. They did it a bit better in the second half. But overall, you have to give Brighton credit for how they came, you know, and approached the game. In the end, I think really no one can have any argument with both teams leaving.
Spot on, Jerry.
A point apiece for Leicester and Brighton. Let's see what it's done to the league table then for Leicester. 2 points from their opening 2 games since the resumption of Premier League football. Walshy, just looking at that now, that's 4 points clear of Chelsea in 4th place, albeit now Chelsea do have that game in hand. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
You know, all I look at is 5th and 6th place at the moment, and you know, there's 9 points difference. It's a hell of a haul to get. You know, you've got to win every game, and we've got to lose the next 3. You know, so we're in a great position. Don't get me wrong, but it's just if we could just nail a win in between at the minute, it'd just seal things for me. It'd put one foot in the Champions League. The good thing is we've got 4 days, 5 days to Sunday for the Chelsea FA Cup game, where there's an opportunity there to advance into the FA Cup. So, you know, listen, this season's terrific, whatever happens. And you know what, at the end of the day, you know, if things went drastically wrong, you know, I still think that there's progression in where we're going and what our intentions are. So we've got a great opportunity. Don't get me wrong, there'll be people laughing at us if we've slipped outside the top 4 now. But the pressure seems to be more on Leicester than it does for other teams, especially Man United and Wolves now. They've got freedom now just to play and attack teams and you know, get points on the board where, you know, like I said, and Wolves are a danger. So, but there's a 8-point gap, and that's a hell of a lot to make up from anyone. We've got enough games, and you know, we'll probably do it the hard way, knowing us, win the last 3 games of the season. So, no, we're in a good position, healthy, things are good. Happy with the manager and the tactics, and overall, it's just good to be back in you know, even just entertaining football at the moment, whether there's no crowd or not. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back, isn't it, Walsh?
It certainly is. Absolutely.
If you agree with Steve Walsh, then do get your thoughts and comments into us. You can get involved with the show using the hashtag LCFC, and that's exactly what Rob Tanner has done. Here are his full-time thoughts.
The City have returned to the King Power Stadium. It wasn't the return they were hoping for, though, against Brighton and Hove Albion. They were expected to beat Brighton and beat the Seagulls and take another step closer to Champions League qualification, but it was a stuttering performance from them. In fact, the first 45 could arguably have been considered their most disappointing since Brendan Rodgers took over. They did improve in the second half, but they didn't create too many chances and didn't really threaten Matt Ryan's goal. A couple of key moments. First half, Kasper Schmeichel, fantastic save to deny Morpay from a penalty when James Justin was penalised. And right at the end, Leicester had a shout for a penalty turned down by the referee at the end. So it's just another point for Leicester since their return from the COVID lockdown, and it's a disappointing one at home, unfortunately.
Well, thanks to Rob Tanner there for sending that one in. Jerry, do you agree with what he had to say? I think that the standout thing that he really said was that first 45 minutes, the most disappointing under Brendan Rodgers since he took charge.
It's
a bit harsh.
Yeah, a bit harsh. You know, I respect Rob. I think he's being slightly harsh. I think he's obviously he's got to analyse Leicester City. But again, you've got to go back. There's two teams, make a game of football. Brighton are an improved team since we seen them earlier in the season when Leicester comfortably beat them away from home. That's number one. Yes, it wasn't fluent as we've seen earlier on in the season, but Rob's cutting out that middle bit, which crucially is probably the most important bit. We haven't had football for over 3 months. It's a slow burner. Yes, we're not where we wanted to be. People are expecting us to be as regards to the fluency in the football. But the one thing you did say, which I will agree with, it's a point closer to Champions League football. There's a lot of teams have to play a lot of football. I think what she said, it's 8 or 9 points gap between 5th and Leicester City. So, momentum is still swinging in our way. Call it what you want, but it's a point on the board. Points on the board are more important than games in hand. And there's a lot of football to come. So there's no reason to be, to get down, be negative, because no one's guaranteed to win the next 8 games. Nobody, especially not Manchester United.
Well, I think, Tony, it's an important message that Jerry's saying there about remaining positive, looking at the good points from Leicester's opening 2 games since lockdown. And I think earlier on in the season there was a little bit of negativity around sort of January time after that really good run Leicester had been on, that the results slumped a little bit, but then they picked back up. And I guess that's what Leicester fans have got to look at. They've got to think that, yes, the results will come back again for Leicester and for Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, the thing is, Dan, I mean, obviously, Liverpool being on a different planet this year, they've been incredibly consistent. But for most of the other teams, like you don't ever go through a season normally where you have 38 games and you're going to play well in every single game. You're going to have ups and downs. Players are going to have, good form, bad form, and sometimes the bad form all arrives at once and you go through a dip in form, which, no doubt Leicester did just after the, January, February time. But, on a negative side of things tonight, I thought the final ball was really, really poor. I think that's what let Leicester down. It wasn't a good performance, but they did improve in the second half. And like we always say about any team that's trying to achieve anything, if you don't play particularly well, then make sure you don't lose the game. We've seen many teams in the past, you don't play very well, you concede a last-minute goal, you lose 1-0 at home, and it's a dreadful result. They haven't done that, Leicester. They've got the point. Tags was making the point. 1 point can be crucial. It puts Leicester 9 points clear. And I come back, as I keep always doing, Dan, to that Southampton game. The 9 goals they scored could be crucial because the goal difference means it's almost a 10-point gap. Mm-hmm. And with only 8 or 9 games left, that makes it really hard for the teams to claw it back. Yes, there were some negative things tonight, but I thought defensively there were some decent performances again from the 2 centre-halves in terms of defending and heading the ball away. Will Brendan be pleased with the performance? Of course he won't, but he will be pleased with a point, and it's another point on the ball for Leicester.
Tony, just interesting enough, talking about goal difference, I wrote it down in some pre-notes, and we've got a plus 30 goal difference. We've scored 59 goals. Liverpool have scored 66. So when you put it into context and look at these stats, we're in a well-deserved position in that league. And, everybody prays that we make it. But it's a terrific season. And there's still so much to play for. Obviously Champions League, the FA Cup, Vardy's records can be made, and it's just okay, we scored 9 goals against Southampton, but it's terrific, a lot better than Man United and Arsenal and Chelsea in goal difference. It's just incredible, and that could be a crucial thing, the goal difference, when it comes to that 4th, 5th place. You just don't know.
Jerry, something that Tony said is something that Brendan Rodgers says an awful lot. I know he said it after the game with Watford on Saturday, that if you can't win a game, you make sure you don't lose the game.
Yeah, and at the beginning, we're 10, 15 minutes into the game, you're thinking, we're going 1-0 down here. And Kasper Schmeichel, comes up, plays a captain's performance, called upon yet again, like he was on Saturday, with 2 great saves, with another fantastic save. And that's what you need from your big players, which Kasper is obviously one of. Tony sort of rounded it all off. It wasn't fantastic football. It wasn't the best performance, but nobody in this room who's played the game of football at a professional level went out on a pitch and played every game of their career at a fantastic level. Unfortunately, conditions that we're seeing may well have a part to play in that. Well, whether that's an excuse, is debatable. But apart from maybe one or two teams since we got back into football, I haven't seen one explosive, fantastic game of football, maybe apart from Man City against Burnley. But the majority of the games have been pretty banal, I have to say, and the quality has been seriously lacking. We've seen a bit of that tonight, we've seen a bit of it on Saturday, but we've got 2 points, and with the goal difference, it's 10 points at the minute. Barring a complete catastrophe where we leak 6-7 goals in a game. So there's lots to be positive about, as we say, and hopefully, the quality of the football that we see from Leicester between now and, in the last, minimum 8 games if you include the cup, will improve. But we haven't lost a game, and we've got 2 points on the board. So the pressure is firmly on the teams below us to try and catch up.
Throughout the game, and as it will be throughout all of Leicester's remaining games this season, you'll be able to listen to them on LCFC Radio. Matt Elliott was our summariser this afternoon, and he's given his full-time verdict.
So it was a bit of a struggle this evening at the King Power for Leicester City, in truth. Brighton, the visitors, came with lots of conviction about their play in the early stages and posed the bigger threat, that's for sure. The penalty that was conceded by Leicester, amazing save from Kasper Schmeichel. Not only did he save it, he got 2 paws on it and made the ball stick in his gloves. Unbelievable stuff from the Dane. But that aside, there wasn't much to mention really. Brendan Rodgers will be disappointed with the lack of creativity, not just tonight but also against Watford really. Plenty of possession, but despite being in good situations on a number of occasions, not being able to carve a way through, really. And the goalkeeper, Ryan, tonight was effectively redundant for the majority of the game. And work to be done on the training pitch, that's for sure. But no need to panic just yet. Who knows? After this round of games, Leicester, picking up another point, could possibly even improve their position regarding Champions League spots. But time will tell on that one. They can't keep depending on other teams that are below them dropping points. At some stage, they're going to have to sort out business themselves. Hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later.
Thank you very much to Matt Elliott. He was LCFC Radio's summariser this evening for the game. Do get involved on social media with us. Use the hashtag LCFC and send us your full-time thoughts. Jerry, your big mate Matt, obviously there, he sent a little bit of a warning message, I guess, to Leicester. He said, yes, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but there will become a time when you need to take matters into your own hands and stop relying on those other results.
Yeah, that is true. But as I've mentioned before, there's 8 games to go in the league, and so there's plenty of time for Brendan to sort those issues out. As I said, nobody's really hit the ground running apart from, as I've mentioned, Manchester City with 2 good results. But Leicester are in a good position to sort those issues out and have time to sort those issues out with a 9-point lead plus a positive goal difference. And there's no reason for people to start panicking. And I'm sure that sooner rather than later, then Brendan will find a form. The lads will find that form to get them over the line.
Well, it's FA Cup before the next Premier League game, Walshy, of course. On Sunday, that game against Chelsea. That'll be a massive occasion, won't it? You can imagine FA Cup quarter-final at King Power Stadium against Chelsea. It would have been rocking here, of course, wouldn't it? It's not to be the case with fans at home following Leicester at home. We thank you for doing so. But it'll still be a brilliant occasion here.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to advance as well for me. I think we can beat Chelsea. I do. We're going to have to be, in better form, to put it that way. But, I do think that we can beat Chelsea on a playing field like this at home. Obviously, with the crowd and the situation is what it is. But they don't worry me. They didn't when I knew the draw as well. I really felt that before the lockdown that this is great. Chelsea at home with the crowd behind us. Now the goalposts have changed, so we just don't know. It's not going to be one of those classics, is it? But it is an opportunity for us. So it's a change from the league at the minute. It takes the mind off. Listen, it's great that we're actually being not negative, but down about the results. You know, when we haven't lost, we've conceded 1 goal. You know, and we've been so close to nicking both games, haven't we? So it ain't as bad as what we feel, but everyone's very passionate about Leicester City, and there's a lot of people looking over the shoulders. But you can imagine in that dressing room the players, and they've got a level-headed manager who knows what he's doing, and he'll guide them in the right way. And I think he's, you know, like I say, tactically, it nearly all paid off again tonight. Albeit just like that final bit of quality, really.
Tony, do you think it is a good thing for Leicester that it is the FA Cup on Sunday? It's a chance to take their minds off the league. I know they've had 3 months of their minds off the league, but since these 2 games have come back in, it's a different competition, the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's also a game for them to work on their fitness. I think all the players, you know, I think it's important to keep things in perspective, and you know, it's like, really, that the players are playing their 2nd or 3rd pre-season game, and you know, we've all seen pre-season games. It's all about the fitness. The quality normally is not there, and you know, the Leicester players are trying to get their fitness back. So I know it's an FA Cup quarter final. I know Leicester want to go through and you know, have the chance to play the semi-final at Wembley and everything else that comes with it, which would be great. But it is I think most of the players would say that the main priority is to try and secure that Champions League place. So it's another great opportunity for the players to work on their fitness, get another 90 minutes under their belt. The performances will come down. It's like, you know, they're still unbeaten in the 2 games, and the performances will come. The fitness will come. The players, they're not robots. It takes a while for players to get their fitness, and the fans have just got to be a little bit patient, keep things in perspective. And the performances will come, and the results will come as well. Let's hope they do beat Chelsea at the weekend and get through to the semi-final. And then if you get to the semi-final, that's 2 semi-finals in different competitions, chance of getting in the Champions League as well. You know, what a fantastic season.
We can get some reaction then from pitchside at King Power Stadium right now.
Yeah, very strange atmosphere. Yeah, strange situation. But we have to play with that, and to stay strong, and to speak together, to speak more together. And yeah, not easy situation, but we have to play with this. And we have many games, and we get 1 point, and we have to win the next game.
Papi Mendy there speaking to our commentator Chris Parrott at full time. You could hear obviously the frustration in his voice, Jerry, Papi Mendy there, but he says it's another draw, but there's a lot of games still to come between now and the end of the season. Yeah, well, I've sort of just been saying that, and you know, the lads will be hurting as well. You know, they fully expected to come here tonight, not run over the top of Brighton, but I'm sure in the heart of hearts they would have been expecting themselves to go out and win this game. And when that doesn't quite go, you know, according to plan, then there's a lot of, you know, upset and a lot of hurt in the dressing room as well. And you sort of heard that from Mendy, and also about the situation that they're playing under. And you know, I think sometimes we've put the situation to one side, haven't we, that we all find ourselves in. And what you've got to remember is that people respond to different situations in different ways. And I'm wondering, with this young group, are they responding, you know, not responding as how they would do if there was 32,000 people? When, you know, we all know as professional footballers that we have to deal with what's put in front of us, and you get on with it. And they're trying to do that in the best way they can, but unfortunately it's just not happening the way it probably would have happened with the fans behind them. I don't know, but I'm just putting it out there. And another point as well, Tony, is that sometimes people think of players as robots, aren't they? But they've gone through the same thing that we've all gone through in the past 3 months. They've all been on lockdown, having to isolate in their own households as well. So that mentally as well must have taken a toll on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always said football is you've got to have the talent, obviously, to play the game of football. But I would say almost 60-70% of playing football is a mental challenge for yourself. And you've got the challenge of playing football coming after the mental challenge of us all being in lockdown. And we all know how difficult that's been. So, you know, I admire the players. You know, they've not had the normal time that they get in pre-season to play the games. even when they went back into training for the first 2 weeks, they wasn't even allowed to stand next to their own teammates. So it's been very difficult for everyone. And that, I mentioned that word perspective, and you've got to keep things in perspective that, it is what it is, and the players will get better. By the way, Dan, I've just seen literally 12 replays of the penalty.
Just seen it, Tony.
I have. Occasions it was a penalty.
Unbelievable.
How it's not a penalty, I'll never know. It's ridiculous.
Tony, I've just been watching it myself and agree totally with you. I know, it's one of them frustrating nights, and sometimes, you've got to give respect to Brighton, like you said, TC, earlier, and even if you were playing tonight, I don't think you had the supply line to probably score tonight. It's one of those games, we go again, and, Brighton have come and done what they wanted to do and got a good point.
Again, Walshy, just going back to that penalty, we started our post-match analysis talking about it. We might as well end our post-match analysis talking about the non-penalty for Leicester City at the end of the game there. And after seeing that, Walshy, it is bitterly disappointing that wasn't given.
Absolutely, yeah, I've just watched it quite a few times, and like I said, he's made 2 errors that could have swung the game and cost us the game. They've got to be looked at, and it'd be nice if you could just understand the reasons behind what he's given, and we don't seem to get them. So, it's one of those. This season, the VAR has been good and bad. Just getting that balance right. I think hopefully it'll be a good thing in the end, but it's causing so much confusion at times that it's driving everyone crazy.
Well, thank you very much, Walshy. Final thoughts then, Tony. You talked about perspective. I guess that's the important message, isn't it, for Leicester at the moment? Yeah,
absolutely. I still see it as a point gained, and things are rosy in the garden for Leicester City Football Club. As I said, the performances will improve, the fitness will improve, and it's a fantastic club going in the right direction. And I'm 99% certain that Leicester City will be playing Champions League football next season.
Perfect, thanks Tony. And very much finally, Jerry, what kind of mood do you think Leicester will go into that game on Sunday? They'll take a bit of confidence, won't they, from these opening 2 games?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously it's been slightly frustrating for everyone involved, none less than the manager and the players. But lots to look forward to. Confidence should be still high going into the game on Sunday, because, we've widened the gap. Yes, it's not been exhilarating football, but did anyone really expect that? Lots to look forward to.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Thanks to Steve Walsh as well and Tony Cottee. That's been it for episode 2 of City on the Sofa. Unfortunately, it ended Leicester 0, Brighton 0. We'll be back on Sunday afternoon, of course, for the FA Cup clash with Everton, so do tune in for that one. But from here at King Power Stadium, it was the story of 2 penalties, one that was given and saved and one that wasn't given. Thank you very much.